Shattering the Homeownership Myth, the truth about buying your first home. Welcome to a groundbreaking exploration of homeownership in America. Today, we're going to challenge everything you thought you knew about buying a home. We'll uncover truths that have been hidden in plain sight, truths that could change your life and the lives of millions of Americans. I recently had the privilege of interviewing Kevin Newton, a visionary in the mortgage industry who's not just changing the game, he's rewriting the rule book. Kevin's insights aren't just enlightening, they're revolutionary. His work is opening doors for countless aspiring homeowners, dismantling barriers that have kept the American dream out of reach for far too many. Imagine for a moment that everything you've been told about buying a home is wrong. What if the biggest obstacle between you and your dream home isn't your bank account or your credit score, but outdated information and misguided assumptions? This isn't just a hypothetical, it's the reality we're living in. Let's start with the shocking truth. The widely held belief that you need a perfect credit score and a 20% down payment to buy a home is as outdated as dial-up internet. Yet this myth persists, keeping countless potential homeowners on the sidelines, watching from afar as others step onto the property ladder. Here's the kicker. According to Kevin Newton, this widely accepted truth is actually one of the biggest lies in the mortgage industry. And it's time we shatter this misconception once and for all. Let these facts sink in. More than 60% of first-time homebuyers purchase their homes with less than 6% down. Not 20%, not even 10%, but less than 6%. FHA loans allow as little as 3.5% down, while VA and USDA loans offer zero down payment options for eligible buyers. This isn't speculation, it's fact, backed by data from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Now, I can almost hear the skeptics among you. Sure, you might be thinking, but what about my credit score? Isn't that the be-all and end-all of mortgage approval? Prepare to have your mind blown. Many lenders approve loans for buyers with credit scores as low as 580 for FHA loans and even lower for VA loans. And for those of you with less than stellar credit, here's a nugget of hope. With the right strategies, you can boost your score significantly within just a few months. But wait, there's more. Down payment assistance programs are not urban legends. They exist, and they're more accessible than you might think. We're talking about state and local grants, forgivable loans, and even employer-assisted housing programs. These aren't just for a select few. Many buyers qualify, but simply aren't aware these options exist. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, rising rents. We've all felt the pinch of skyrocketing rental prices. But here's a plot twist for you. In many cases, a mortgage payment is actually cheaper than rent. Yes, you heard that right. Buying with a smaller down payment could mean homeownership sooner rather than later, allowing you to build equity instead of padding your landlord's pockets. So why does this misconception persist? Why are so many potential homeowners still sitting on the sidelines believing they're not ready? The answer, according to Kevin Newton, is simple yet profound: lack of education. The real issue isn't whether buyers can purchase with a smaller down payment, it's that they aren't being educated on their options. It's time to shift the conversation from can I afford a home to how can I use the right loan program to buy a home sooner. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? Well, the catch is that this information isn't widely shared. The traditional narrative of needing perfect credit and a hefty down payment is deeply ingrained in our collective psyche. It's been repeated so often that we've accepted it as gospel truth. But here's where things get really interesting. This misconception isn't just holding back individual home buyers. It's having a ripple effect on our entire economy and society. Think about it. Home ownership is one of the primary ways that families build wealth in America. It's a cornerstone of financial stability and often the first step towards generational wealth. By perpetuating the myth that home ownership is out of reach for many, we're inadvertently widening the wealth gap and reinforcing economic inequalities. Moreover, home ownership has been shown to have positive effects on community engagement, educational outcomes for children, and even health outcomes. By making home ownership more accessible, we're not just changing individual lives, we're potentially transforming entire communities. Let me share a story that illustrates the power of this knowledge. Meet Sarah, a 28-year-old teacher who had always dreamed of owning her own home. For years, she believed she couldn't afford it. She was paying $1,800 a month in rent, struggling to save for a down payment, and worried about her credit score of 650. Sarah's story is not unique. It's the story of millions of Americans who believe the dream of home ownership is out of reach. But here's where Sarah's story takes a turn. After attending a first-time homebuyer seminar, Sarah learned about FHA loans and down payment assistance programs. She discovered she could qualify for a loan with just 3.5% down, and her state offered a grant for first-time homebuyers. Within 6 months, Sarah was moving into her own three-bedroom home. Her mortgage payment, $1,600 a month, $200 less than her rent. But it gets better. In the 2 years since buying her home, Sarah's property has appreciated by $30,000. She's building equity with every mortgage payment, and she's providing stability for her young daughter. Sarah's not just a homeowner, she's on the path to building generational wealth. This is the power of education and the right information. It's not just about buying a house, it's about changing the trajectory of a family's financial future. Now let's get practical for a moment. How does this new perspective change the game for potential homebuyers? Well, it's all about shifting your mindset and your approach. First, stop thinking of a 20% down payment as the gold standard. Instead, explore the various low down payment options available. FHA loans, conventional loans with 3% down. Virginia loans for veterans, these are all viable paths to homeownership that don't require you to drain your life savings. Second, don't let a less than perfect credit score deter you. Remember, lenders are approving loans for scores much lower than you might think. And if your score needs work, don't despair. With the right guidance, you can implement credit improvement strategies that can yield results in a matter of months, not years. Third, educate yourself about down payment assistance programs. These programs are not one size fits all. They vary by state, city, and even profession. You might be surprised to find that you qualify for assistance you never knew existed. Fourth, and this is crucial, start thinking of home ownership as a journey rather than a destination. It's not about waiting until everything is perfect. It's about taking strategic steps towards your goal. Maybe your first home isn't your dream home, but it's a stepping stone that allows you to build equity and work towards that dream. Let me share another story that drives this point home. Meet Marcus, a 35-year-old software developer. Marcus had a good job and a stable income, but he also had $50,000 in student loan debt. He believed this debt made homeownership impossible for him. But Marcus didn't give up. He started researching and discovered that many lenders have programs specifically designed for borrowers with student loan debt. He learned about income-driven repayment plans that could lower his debt-to-income ratio, making him more attractive to lenders. With this knowledge, Marcus was able to qualify for a conventional loan with just 5% down. He used a state-sponsored down payment assistance program to cover half of that. Today, Marcus is a proud homeowner, building equity and watching his property value appreciate. Marcus's story isn't just about buying a house. It's about overcoming obstacles, challenging assumptions, and taking control of his financial future. It's a story that could be replicated millions of times over if more people had access to the right information. Now let's talk about the broader implications of this shift in thinking. If more people understood and acted on this information, what would change? For starters, we'd likely see a surge in first-time homebuyers entering the market. This could lead to more diverse, vibrant communities as people who previously thought homeownership was out of reach become property owners. We'd also likely see a reduction in the racial homeownership gap. Historically, minority communities have been disproportionately affected by the misconception that perfect credit and large down payments are necessary. By dispelling this myth and providing education about accessible loan programs, we could take a significant step towards equalizing home ownership rates across racial lines. Furthermore, we might see a shift in the rental market. As more people transition from renting to owning, it could potentially lead to a stabilization of rental prices, benefiting those who continue to rent by choice or necessity. On a macro level, increased home ownership could lead to greater economic stability. Homeowners tend to be more invested in their communities, both literally and figuratively. This can lead to increased civic engagement, better maintained neighborhoods, and even improved local economies as homeowners spend on home improvements and engage with local businesses. But perhaps the most profound change would be in the mindset of the average American. Instead of viewing home ownership as a distant dream or a privilege for the few, people would start to see it as an achievable goal. This shift in perspective could have far reaching effects on financial planning, career choices, and even family planning decisions. Let's consider the story of the Johnson family. For generations, the Johnsons had been renters. They believed home ownership was for other people, people with perfect credit and large savings accounts. But when the youngest Johnson, Lisa, learned about FHA loans and down payment assistance programs, she became the first in her family to buy a home. Lisa's purchase didn't just change her life, it changed her family's perception of what was possible. Her younger siblings are now actively saving and planning for their own home purchases. Her parents, inspired by her example, are exploring options for buying a retirement home. One person's knowledge and action has the potential to break a cycle of generational renting and create a new legacy of home ownership and wealth building. This is the ripple effect of education and empowerment. It's not just about individual homeowners, it's about transforming families, communities, and ultimately our entire society. Now, I can almost hear the skeptics among you. If this is true, you might be thinking, why isn't everyone talking about it? Why isn't this common knowledge? Well, that's where people like Kevin Newton come in. They're the vanguard of a new approach to mortgage lending and home ownership education. They're challenging the status quo, pushing back against outdated notions, and working tirelessly to spread this empowering information. But they can't do it alone. This is where you come in. Yes, you, whether you're a potential home buyer, a real estate professional, or just someone who cares about economic equity, you have a role to play in this revolution. If you're considering buying a home, start by educating yourself. Don't accept the conventional wisdom without question. Explore your options. Talk to lenders who specialize in first time home buyer programs, and don't be afraid to think outside the box. If you're already a homeowner, share your experience. How did you make it happen? What obstacles did you overcome? Your story could be the inspiration someone else needs to take that first step. And if you're in the real estate or mortgage industry, consider this a call to action. How can you better educate your clients about their options? How can you challenge the status quo and open doors for more potential homeowners? Because here's the thing, this isn't just about mortgages or real estate. This is about the American dream. It's about financial empowerment. It's about building stronger, more stable communities. And it starts with challenging what we think we know. Let me leave you with this thought. What if the biggest obstacle to home ownership isn't your bank account or your credit score, but your belief about what's possible? What if the key to unlocking the door to your first home is simply information, the right information, used in the right way? Today, I'm challenging you to rethink everything you thought you knew about buying a home. I'm challenging you to educate yourself, to explore your options, and to spread this empowering information to others. Because when we shatter the myths that hold us back, when we arm ourselves with knowledge and possibility, we don't just change our own lives, we have the power to transform entire communities, to close wealth gaps, and to make the American dream of homeownership a reality for countless families. So, are you ready to join this revolution? Are you ready to challenge the status quo and rewrite the rules of homeownership? The door is open, the path is clear. All you have to do is take that first step. But taking that first step requires more than just knowledge, it requires action. So here's my challenge to you. In the next 24 hours, I want you to do one thing that moves you closer to home ownership. Maybe it's researching FHA loans. Maybe it's checking your credit score. Maybe it's calling a lender to discuss your options. Whatever it is, take that step and don't stop there. Share what you've learned today with at least 3 people. Post it on social media, discuss it at your next family gathering, become an ambassador for this empowering information. Because here's the truth, every time you share this knowledge, you're not just spreading information, you're spreading hope. You're giving someone the tools to change their financial future. You're helping to build stronger, more equitable communities. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your journey to home ownership or to helping others achieve home ownership starts now. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait until you have it all figured out. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. The power to change the narrative around home ownership is in your hands. The power to close the wealth gap, to build stronger communities, to rewrite the American dream, it's all within your reach. So I ask you one final time, are you ready to shatter the myths? Are you ready to rewrite the rules? Are you ready to turn the dream of home ownership into a reality for yourself and for millions of others? The time for action is now. The revolution in home ownership starts with you. Let's make it happen. Thank you